Now we can't hear you, Paco. What's up?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you? How are you, Ollie?
All good. All good. We've got everybody. People are coming. Lots of stuff. Where are the mammals? Sasha, where is your army? Here. We do have sort of majority here. Sorry, Sammy. Okay, cool. I think we can start. Um, so yeah, super cool to have this space tonight. We're gonna talk about Forma because it has been like, hey, Airbnb, are you recording, right?
Yes, sir, just started.
Okay, perfect. No, so yes, tonight we have a space, super cool one. We wanted to invite Forma to talk about the Chimeras, which has been a really interesting collection. And I think it's pretty crazy that it's Format launched like a few months ago, and we were all kind of like intrigued by all these very specific collections and how they were curated and even the freestones. And now we've got a way to use them. And I mean, it's been pretty intriguing for everyone. Tonight we've got Achilles from Forma and Sam Spike also from Forma, Sasha with Lido and with the Mammoth, huge Mammoth collector, and Paco and myself and a few and Josh. Lots of good people. Sammy. So do you guys want to launch the game right now and we start talking? Does that sound fair for you? And us, yes, Shadowless, you're here. We got you, the Mammoth family. So yeah, you guys can head to Krunker, and actually you don't need to head for it. Just gonna send you the link. In the meantime, Achilles or Sam, could you tell us more about how did you get this idea from for the cameras? Because you guys have been like pushing new mechanics, even with Kudzu, with the infection game and the burning thing, and now with this sort of like alchemy going. What did you get the idea from?
I'm not sure how able to speak Achilles is because I know he's recently injured.
I'm able to speak. I'm able to speak.
You're able to speak. Do you want to? You've been involved with the Stones project for longer than I have, so maybe you should
I
answer
can
that question.
and then you can add stuff. And just to clarify, by the way, I'm not. I do work closely with the Forma team, but I'm not at Forma. I work at Celestia. So yeah, the sort of from the beginning of the Stones, the idea was, and we talked about this a lot with the ACRB guys, was to start. The first idea was like the Stones. You have like two Stones that are pretty much look almost exactly the same, but one of them is free and the other one isn't. And so by extension, one of them is unlimited in supply and the other one isn't. And it was kind of a play on like, well, why are these things valuable in the first place? Why people want them? And kind of clearly, I think one of the reasons why these things are valuable is because, people have them and some people don't. If anyone can have something that has no value, if someone, if some things are not possible to have by everyone, then they accrue some value because people want the thing that other people don't have. And so from the very first idea, like sort of the lore-wise, these two stones represented the two different approaches to the kind of insanely exponential growth we're seeing with technologies that will alter the very fabric of our reality. And that's mostly about AI, but also applies to crypto and other adjacent sort of technological paradigms. The rare stone was supposed to capture the spirit of like, accelerates at all costs, whatever happens, some of the machine gods. At the time, like Beth Jesus was pretty popular on Twitter, etc. And the other stone is more like the Utkowskian stone of like, maybe we should not like summon the machine gods. Maybe there's some concerns about that. And so, there's different poles. They also have like different mechanics in terms of like one of them was free, so there were 4 million of them. The other one only had 555. So eventually it became like stars, so almost like status item on Forma, and by extension, I think Celestia block space. From the very beginning, the idea was like, well, with two stones, you can sort of rub them together and you can create fire, which is what like the Promethean myth comes from. Prometheus brings the fire down from the gods to the humans, which is kind of like a technological like innovation in the ancient Greeks' minds. And so always there was always idea at the back of our heads to like make them combine with each other for unpredictable results. And over time, I think with seeing how many stones are where, we just thought it'd be cool to just start, all of these individual created objects on Modularium, which are by different artists, to start combining them with different results. And very foundational that idea was the notion of sacrifice, which is, you can buy and sell these things, you can speculate on them, you can collect them if you want. But what will you do if you're given a choice where you have a binary option, right? Like you either keep the things you have or you burn them to get something else. And obviously the choice there has to do with mostly if you're like a rational economic agent with what will accrue more value, but it's not clear what will accrue more value. And so the Chimeras is a dynamic sort of reaction to the market in a way. It's like, well, given what people will do and what they won't do, creating more choice trees down the line that will make more difficult decisions about like whether or not it makes sense to keep something or to not keep something. The idea of burn obviously was very popular for a long time, especially around 2021 NFTs. There's a lot of burning happening. But freeze, I think, is something that's brand new. And was something that code crafting, because the lead dev at Forma came up with, which is the idea that like rather than sacrificing your asset or your object, you just like basically forego the option to transfer it for a given period of time. Which can mean you're saying one of two things. You're saying like I'm willing to forego the ability to sell this thing in case it goes up in value, for example, to stake my belief in the other object I'm getting. So with freezing went pretty well. I really liked the idea of freezing. I think there can be more creative ways around playing with that notion. And then burning is burning. And so these were the initial recipes. Playing around the other modularium artifacts. There were a couple of really rare ones that we were supposedly like sort of intentionally set up such that no one would ever mint them, including like Technos, portent of the cosmological other, which has like insane requirements, like 111,000 stones and 555 alkahest, and someone got on like day 5, which none of us expected. Yeah, that's kind of like the TLDR. Is just coming up with more interesting creative ways to play around with these objects sitting in people's wallets that like are have some interesting value in virtue of existing, but might have more interesting value in virtue of being able to spawn up other things based on the choice of individuals.
No, yeah, fair. I think this adds a lot of like complexity and sort of like choice for users to do something with their NFTs. And I think this is really like interesting take, because even Forma or Modularium has we have it the marketplace. It doesn't look like any other NFT marketplace. For me, it feels like an online gallery, like none other. Like I can go on OpenSea for major ones and stuff like that, and you've got projects popping up like every day from anyone. And here the curation is always like on point, and the diversity as well. I'm really curious about what you guys are cooking in the future and stuff like that. But we don't know. We don't know. They're killing me with one shoot. Ain't no way. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the game, and we can keep up with the discussion. Yeah. I'm sending you the link right now. You have to click on it and enter the password, which is Celestia. And for everyone, try to change your volume settings. You can still hear the discussion at the same time. Or maybe you just want to play. So it's up to you, basically. So
Where's
here's
the
the
link?
link.
All right.
I just sent it in
There we go.
the chat.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I see.
So yeah, the aim is to kill each other, as really family.
What is the password?
Celestia,
Oh,
like a
it's very
low-key
inappropriate.
term. No one knows. No, it's cool. What a friendly game. Sure, man. Oh my God, it's starting already. I think we're all against each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's are you in the game?
I'm trying to register my name, but it doesn't work. Name too long. Okay, one sec.
Guys, this is a
This
little bit
stuff
too
is weird.
PvP.
Yeah, it's too
PvP is-
PvP as well. Let me
Okay, I
create
mean-
another one. Let me create another one, because this one is absolute madness.
Because like every time I respawn, I die.
Yeah, same as me.
Yeah, because we're all
Oh my
spawning at the same place. That's the...
Yeah. Sure. I can select the team. Yeah, let me check again. Mhm. Yeah, let me send you another link. Yes. Okay, good.
Guys, so what have you minted on
Wait.
the Alcahest mint?
I got the habitat one and the frozen mammoth.
Dude, I have like 8, but I do not have any of the rares yet.
Yeah, I've been pretty lazy, to be honest. I've been pretty lazy. How many did you guys make it to the game, or I think you did?
I mean, I made it to the game. Oh, there is a new one?
Yeah, there is a new one. I sent a
there's-
new link. A better one.
The Krunker one? Which
Yeah,
is
the new one.
Can you send the link again?
Yeah, I just sent it, man.
Where is it?
It's on the chat. You guys have it, right?
Oh shit! I think I'm in.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden at first.
So someone's asking in the chat
Chat's
why they can't freeze the same stone multiple times. I think it's like what Achilles is saying. It's like the whole thing is kind of meant to be a game theory. You know, figuring out the opportunity cost of freezing your asset. What are you willing to sacrifice your NFT for? You know, how are you gonna if you're gonna forego being able to sell your EX stone? What are you gonna make that sacrifice for? What might be as if not more potentially meaningful or valuable to own? It's probably also a good time to say that there's only 24 hours left to mint Alcahest, and then the Alcahest drop is going to be closed forever, so it will be fixed supply of Alcahest. I think we're at like just over 30,000 mints so far,
How many have been
Can you
used
say
on
the
the
numbers?
Alcahest?
and I think it's like about 20,000 have been burned, so it's like 65% thereabouts of burn, I think.
Actually, yes, I can see you. You're
But you'll be able to use the Alcahest to create new chimeras forever. And there's even been talk, though I won't share any specific details, that there's going to
Go
be a
for it.
second chapter to the chimeras. There'll be new chimeras, and so you'll need to own certain chimeras to get new special chimeras. So it's worth having some
Okay.
Alcahest in your back pocket.
Will we need Alcahest for these new cameras?
You'll
Cameras as
always need
well, or-
Alcahest to create. You have to have Alcahest to create any chimera. It's like the one thing
Okay,
you always
but I
have to
guess-
have.
And I didn't understood before. Sorry, I think I asked the question, but the sound was kind of low or something. But when you guys made the first freestones, did you know that you were gonna do the cameras, or it was like something that constantly evolving?
Well, I mean, we didn't. So Forma, like I work for Forma, and Forma built Modularium as well. But the team that made the chimeras it's like a group of artists who aren't Forma. Like we're not officially affiliated with them. So we knew they always had plans. It's ACRB is the name of the artist. We knew they always had plans. We didn't know exactly what the plans were, but we always knew that the stones, the free stones, and the
Interesting.
And did you guys talk with the what's his name, Mo, the guy who minted the Technos?
yeah, I think some of the team members chatted with him. I haven't personally. I think maybe Achilles has been in touch with him. But yeah, that was crazy. He went super hardcore, and immediately got all of them and got the technos.
And he's
Wait,
the
As
only
I
one,
say,
right?
he's the only one at the moment. Yeah. But there's no limit on time. Like somebody could mint the technos in a year from now, as long as they had the ingredients. So it's kind of a long game, but at the same time, when the second season happens, you might need certain chimeras in order to get certain other chimeras. So.
All right, who's speaking French? Who is speaking French, guys? Okay, cool. And
I think what's cool about the drop, to be honest, is the way that it turns the whole of the Modularium platform. Like as you say, Modularium is like Forma is the chain. It's like a sovereign rollup. It's built using Celestia and Astria, and Modularium is like the main marketplace on Forma at the moment. And at the moment, everything on it is like either curated by us or is launched by a team that we have some kind of friendship with. But what's fun about the drop is that it turns like the whole platform kind of into one big game, and it like uses NFTs from all the other drops that have been going on Forma for the last year. And as we do more drops in the future, there might be future stage mirrors where we're able to integrate those new drops as well. So the more curated drops happen on Modularium, the more interesting things involving the stones and chimeras and ACRB and whatever can happen in the future. So that's cool. But I like how it turns the whole thing into one kind of big gamified environment. So it's not just like an NFT marketplace with different collections that have no relationship to one another. And that's something that we're very interested in at Forma, is this idea of different collections like speaking to one another in some way or having some kind of connection to each other. Rather than just these very static, passive objects that sit in your wallet. You have nothing to do with them. You never really look at them. You only look at them when you come to list them for sale or buy them.
I mean,
So you-
I think that's very bullish that
Yeah.
you guys are doing that, and also like I think it's really cool that stones have sort of become a sort of like meme right now, right? It's like
Stones are a good
basically,
meme.
they're like a coin now, though, because it's like it's like very similar dynamics, right? Like they're all like fungible tokens. And,
For sure.
yeah, then you can, you know, like buy and sell them. Like I don't know, it looks a lot like a meme coin, but I think it's cooler because like I think the utility like, is pretty cool. I think it's a good way to do it. Wait, who's speaking French?
Yeah,
Somebody's speaking French, dude. I don't know who's speaking French, but I can't understand.
Yeah, wait, we need to do something about the French people.
Can
I
you
think
guys
it's
mute the
Phil
person who's
V2.
speaking French?
It's the Phil V2 is off mute. I had to mute. I
Yo,
fixed
yo,
it.
yo.
Cheers.
But yeah, it's totally true. The stones are like a meme coin now, but like in a way, what the Chimeras has done is it's turned all of the collections into. I mean, like a lot of them are semi-fungible, right? They're like open editions or whatever. All the NFTs are the same within the collection. But as we've introduced like the burn and freeze, then there's in a way it's like creating, like retrospectively creating kind of tokenomics around these different collections. So all of them have become deflationary as people have been incentivized to burn them. So the supply of every collection on Forma has been reduced significantly. Some of the collections that have been burned already had pretty low supply. Some of them have big supply, but loads have been burned. So it's not just the stones; it's also like the stones like kind of cannibalize everything else on Modularium and make them more and more scarce.
Was this because like so it's kind of like outside of Forma or anything, but there's been a lot of discussion about like airdrops from Mammoth and stuff, and airdrop farmers, and they always try to just come and take the perks and get out of naturally vibe with the community. Was it like the frozen mechanics? Was that like a way to see who is really like putting their skin in the game, or like is this something the Mammoth asked you to do, or you offered them and they were like, okay, let's go for it?
We didn't speak to really like any of the hold on, there's a moth. We didn't speak to any of the really any of the creators whose collections are involved in the chimeras. So they just found out, I mean, like no one has a problem with it. But we didn't speak to like Mammoth, for example. We just included what we did in ACRB, and then we included the mechanic. But I think like I mean, as far as airdrops go, I think what's cool is obviously like when you're farming for airdrops, it's like also kind of like playing a game. You have to jump through hoops. You have to like do various quests in anticipation of the airdrop, or what you think might get you a reward, or might not get you a reward. And those kind of calculations and that kind of questing activity that is like the day-to-day on-chain existence of an airdrop farmer is kind of exactly what you have to do when you're like playing with the Chimeras collection. It's like doing various things and collecting various things in order to get the other thing. And we'll see. We as far as airdrops go, I'm not here to announce an airdrop, but
No, sure. I was just
but
talking about like
it's
how to make the people kind of like, okay, now you decided you want to be farming, or like you're here and you just want to have some perks from time to time. I mean, personally, I pose my Mammoth because I think it's cool and I want to experiment on with the cameras, and why not? I don't intend to sell, so let's go for it. But
for sure.
yeah, just to see the loyalty.
And it's bullish for mammoths. Like the more people who freeze their mammoths, like the more likely other people are to freeze their mammoths up to a point, right? And then it's also bullish for mammoths because it takes supply off the market. There's a certain like natural equilibrium there that the market, will achieve. But yeah, it's a sacrifice. That's the whole thing. I think something Achilles has spoken about very well in the past, even like when he's done talks, like Modular Summer and other conferences, is this idea of like a lot of the time in NFTs and crypto, like you get an NFT and it doesn't really have any meaning. It's just kind of born out of nothing. And then like this community forms around it after the mint. But the community only really has like the price to bond over in terms of the asset. And like the whole social meaning of the NFT is just its financial value, which is obviously part of NFTs and part of what makes them fun. But it's kind of, it's more interesting to think about NFTs also having like you get something, you do something and you get something in return for doing that. It makes the action of like minting something more meaningful, I think, and it gives the object that you get more meaningful if you've had to sacrifice something else in the meantime. So having to stake your mammoth is not just the same as trading TIA for an NFT. It's like it's foregoing something else, or maybe making something, giving away something more special. Obviously, you're not burning your mammoth in order to get something back. So yeah, it's definitely, it's all about like what are you willing to sacrifice and what lengths are you willing to go to get these things, and then letting the market determine how to price that sacrifice. Obviously, the things that people are least willing to do because they involve the biggest sacrifices are the things that are going to be the most rare and the most valuable in the long run. So those are the kind of calculations you have to make as to whether it's worth it.
Fair. I'm just trying to configure a new game because people are hungry. Wait, like give me a second.
So
Okay,
Sam,
here.
I'm curious. do we expect more like collections with the alchemist? Because I think like the fact that like I was telling Achilles this the other day that like I really like fuck with this type of game because it's like it's very cool. I think it does make like the on-chain experience like very fun. But given that like there's probably gonna be like a small supply shock on the alchemist, like are there any like future like plans to give them like more utility? Like I don't know if you have any like maybe like alpha there, but yeah, I'm just
I mean, there are
I'm just
definitely
curious
like
here.
there are definitely some future plans. Like there are some that are nearly confirmed, and there are some that are still early stage ideation. But like as I say, there'll be another season of chimeras of certain kind, and the alchemist will be necessary for that. Then there will potentially be other things that you can do in the ACRB universe in the future that might involve the stones, or they might involve the alchemist or whatever. And I know as much as you do on that. It's like speculation, but I think what they designed with chimeras has been very fun and very bullish, and it's exceeded everybody's expectations on the team for sure. So I have faith that if they do decide to do something in the future involving these things, something different, something new, like it will be cool. And then the other thing I would say is that these kinds of projects and these kinds of mechanics, like burning, freezing things, getting things back, combining things, combining different NFTs from different collections or from the same collection, is all like a set of mechanics that has not been explored very much in NFTs. Like there's a handful of examples over the years of people doing things like this, but it's always been a lot of work. It's never really been productized to allow more people to do it. And we want to do both of those things. We're going to be, and we even really quite soon, within the next month, we'll be releasing another artist's project that's very different to Chimeras, but uses some of the similar mechanics, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And we also ultimately want to make this kind of stuff available to other creators to permissionlessly use and deploy their own collections, involving this kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that we're very, on a product front and on a curatorial front, we want to push forward, is like Forma is meant to be the home of on-chain creativity. And that is specifically what it does. It's not like other chains and rollups where there's a whole bunch of different things going on. There's no DeFi on Forma. There's no, social fi on Forma at the moment. Like we're laser focused on art, music, creative stuff, cool stuff, rewarding people who participate in the cool stuff with other cool stuff. And we have a lot of plans on that front. And I have ideas, Achilles has ideas, but also we have the incredible founders of Forma Code Crafting, who's the lead engineer, and one bald dude who I think is with us here, who's leads like everything else basically. A lot of ideas of like completely net new primitives that we want to build as part of the Forma VM that will allow types of projects to happen that could never happen anywhere else, that have never been able to happen on chain before.
Someone asked in the chat, like, what will give value to this or that chimera? For example, Fire was expensive to mint. Yes, there are more supply than Eve Venice, for instance. From Crypto Sys.
Well, obviously, many of these things is sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Go on, Achilles.
Yeah, value of any of this. I mean, that's the whole point of the drop in a way, is that like the market, like it's these are objects on the internet, and the ones that are harder to make or to get tend to also be less of them, and then people want the things that are less of. But eventually, the market decides for whatever reason that something is more valuable than something else. And is that always a result of rarity? Does the sort of asset itself and its aesthetics and its like, context add any value to it? Is it all purely a numbers game that's fully speculative? I mean, that's kind of like, I think that's the commentary that the drop is trying to make, which is like some of these things are hard to get on others. Like there's only one Technos because like it was really hard to get it. That doesn't make it at all valuable. I mean, I don't know. None of them have been sold yet. But the idea is that you can transmute something to other things, and maybe the ones that are harder to get won't be the ones that are more valuable in the long term. Maybe it will be the other way around. And you have a choice basically to like, play it one way or the other and decide accordingly. I mean, if you look at general NFTs, right, like some 10,000 people collections are more valuable than like things that have 10 supply or whatever. I don't think it's purely a numbers thing. I think there's other reasons why something becomes valuable, but that's something else is a much more long-term and subtle sort of valuation thing that takes, in the traditional art market obviously takes decades to develop. Things are faster on the internet for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think obviously the market decides what's valuable and what's not, and the market decides if anything is valuable at all. And you get to decide if you want to sort of stake your faith or freeze or burn or whatever for one or the other, depending on if you find valuable, and therefore if you think someone else will find valuable. But obviously, I don't think there's like sort of prescribed value in any of these things whatsoever. It's all sort of emergent from behaviors on top of it.
Exactly, it's part of the game, as you said. Like the game is not just, you know, combining the 3 different ingredients together and getting a thing. The game is being a participant in the market, you know, and speculating and calculating what you think might be valuable for what reason, whether that's due to scarcity, whether you think that's because something's more memeable. I mean, yeah, you look within like certain PFP collections, there are traits, there are types, especially in like, I don't know, CryptoPunks, for example, where there are certain traits that are just go for a massive premium relative to their supply because they've just been memed into value. So that can happen, but nobody is ever going to tell you to buy an NFT because it's inherently valuable. But part of the fun of buying an NFT is playing a game of deciding what might be valuable. If there wasn't that uncertainty, I don't think it would even be that enjoyable. But yeah, none of these things have inherent value, obviously. All we can say is that we and the artists we work with are building cool shit, and there'll be more cool shit. And we've shown that if you've done things on Forma Modularium, you've been able to participate in other things. And those things have in the past, through nothing that we've done, some of those things have also produced like a financial return for some of our users, but it's not something that we're in the business of promising people.
For example, like I really like the Technos thing, right? Like there's only one of them in existence. I think it's the only thing that's unique on Forma. It is an MP4 with music. Like, you know, it has no value. I really want one of these things. I don't know why I want one of these things, but probably because there's only one of these things, and I would like to be the one who has, you know, the thing that no one else does. And I think all of, you know, a lot of these sort of collections in general, sort of market dynamics reflect on that kind of like very primal disposition in humans. They just want the shiny bananas that no one else has, even if the banana is like on your screen or whatever. So, you know, I guess that's what this whole crypto game is about. And I think when it comes to NFTs, it's a bit more colorful in some ways, and a bit more sort of tangible, or there's more colors to it, right? Because they're object to some sort of parsable thing by humans. They're not just stickers with a name on them and an image on them. I think fungible coins like meme coins are having different sort of market dynamics than NFTs. I think NFTs obviously died because they weren't as good for speculation as meme coins were. Meme coins are dying now because they were too good at speculation, and like basically they all tend to zero. And the rate at which it tends to zero is pretty fast. You know, it's gone into minutes now. So I am wondering, and I'm curious to see if like interesting market dynamics will develop around objects that have a complex sort of history and a complex coming into being that might require more than just paying for them. And if that act will imbue them with some sort of meaning to the owner that holds them, but maybe doesn't want to sell them for a price. And most people who might want them in virtue of that sort of context as well. And I think that holds true of like all objects basically that don't have a internal function, you know, that does something like a chair. All sort of conspicuous consumption and status consumption has to do with that, from fashion to art to collectibles, you know, to jewelry or whatever. And I just think we're now just kind of like trying to understand how it works. But this is a realm, and obviously the first experiments were pretty bad over the last few years, but I'm hopeful that I don't know. I think especially the Forma side, given that the laser focus is so much on like interesting ways of transmuting and creating and making, etc., that some interesting things will emerge from that will have some more long-lasting gamified behaviors and some meaning creation, basically.
I think Achilles, you said like a very interesting point, which is like, you know, it's very interesting to see like how value gets allocated. And there's this very interesting dynamic in like life, which is usually when there's something that is super, super scarce, or like there's like a super like rare thing, it's like everyone wants to have it, right? Like I remember like someone said, wait until all the millionaires find out that they can all own like one Bitcoin for them to like want to own it. And I think like many of the same like market dynamics apply to like some of these NFTs, which I think are pretty cool, honestly. So yeah, like it's just like super interesting to see like how value like gets created, and to sort of like, you know, like do experiments like around value, and sort of like try to like figure out like, hey, what's gonna be like the most like valuable thing in the end. I think it's just it's a super interesting and dynamic game, and I don't know, like I like it. It's like it reminds me of like my early days in crypto. So.
Yeah, obviously the problem with that is that like, you know, there's a supply and demand issue, which is anyone can make NFT. You can make NFTs with like millions of editions, and you know they won't have any value because there's no demand there. So the question is, which sort of kind of like stars or like status symbol, be them fashion brands, or, and I think again it's harder online because with real things there's some cost in creating them that kind of creates a floor, quote unquote. With online things, much easier to make stuff. Which ones of them will reach escape velocity, basically, for them to hold the value and for the attention to be pointed to them for a long enough period of time? That is an open question. And then what happens usually is like people basically ask for like exogenous value sources, like airdrop, right? Like, just for interacting with this thing, I should be compensated because the thing in itself doesn't basically have the thing that Bitcoin does, which is like it's valuable in and of itself. So I think that's the main problem. Is like, most of these things won't make it out of the Litecoin, right? Like obviously, 99.99% of anything doesn't make it out of the Litecoin. And I think people are aware of that. I don't think the answer to that is exogenous like value addition. It's more like understanding how attention is divided and figuring out how to, how to pick the thing that will have attention for whatever reason over the long term. Which obviously failed NFTs in 2021 because most of these things did go to zero as expected, but it's not happened.
I just
So
want to
this
shout
time will
out.
be different.
This time will be different. This time is for sure different. I just want to shout out quickly because I think it's very relevant to what everyone's been saying. A thread that was published on Twitter today by a guy called Billy Rennekamp, who is super OG crypto dev, NFT dev, been doing NFT stuff since the very, very beginning, done a bunch of really super cool projects, had a game that was the kind of thing that could honestly be on Forma like right now, called Clovers, back in 2019, which involved NFTs, and also used to work for Cosmos and Interchain Foundation and was like a major contributor there for a long time. But now he's left doing that, and he's running an on-chain gaming studio called Trifor, and they're the studio behind the Kudzu NFTs that you may have seen, hopefully have minted, played around with on Forma, which are these like virus NFTs that you can spread from wallet to wallet. And anyway, he wrote a thread today all about sort of the future of crypto gaming, the future of on-chain gaming, and the point he was making is kind of the point that we've been making, which is that the best game in crypto is crypto. It's a point that does often get made, but it's true, and I think he outlines very clearly, very simply in like 6-7 tweets, like why that's the case, and the kinds of games, like secondary games within crypto, you can build that make the most of those affordances, specifically around this idea of coordination games, and basically game theory based games are based on speculating how other people are going to behave and that informing your behavior. And that is, what Chimeras is. That is what the Kudzu, the current Kudzu burnathon is, where you have to, whoever burns the most Kudzu NFTs by 420, by April 20th, will win 420 tier, and then that will keep rolling on a 3-monthly basis. Every 3 months, whoever's burned the most Kudzu NFTs will win 420 tier. So I just recommend, the Forma account retweeted this thread. I really recommend checking it out, and I think it puts nicely into perspective some of the things that we've been talking about, but at a very high level.
But can you send that thread on the chat, Sam?
Yeah, I'll find it. Hold on.
Just so that everyone can see. But dude, I agree. I think that's the main use case that crypto has. Like enabling like new ways of like social coordination. And like the cool thing too is that everyone can do it, right? I think that's something that is like, to me, it's like really beautiful because everyone can do something like this now. And like I don't know, it's something that is like, to me, it's really like fascinating because it's not really like kept in like any way. Like if you have like a cool idea on like how to do like a cool like game theory experiment, like you can do it right away and like see how it unfolds in real time and like see how value like exchanges hands. Which I don't know, like I think it's it's a very nice feature, honestly. Like people always say like crypto has like no use case, but I think that in of itself it's like like a really good use case, like like enabling like permissionless distribution of value and just like seeing how value like flows. It's already like quite good, in my opinion.
No, it's fucking sick. I agree.
I mean, markets are games basically, right? Like that's what markets are.
Yeah.
And crypto does markets for now. That's all it can do well. Permissionless market making. And it just happens that people like to make markets out of anything, including pictures and coins and stuff. So the dynamics I mentioned, I think are quite interesting. And the more people are aware of that, I think the better. Just trying to sort of pretend that it's about that the market's about something else is not very good. But understanding that the market dynamics are at play at every point in time with a lot of these things, I think is probably best for navigating the terrain.
Is there a game going on right now?
Yes, there's a game going on right now. I'm getting
Yeah, I'm gonna
cooked here,
find
but
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, I'm a super noob, but good game, good game. I
can
see
kill
Josh is not
Silence.
really good as well.
Yeah, man, Josh is good at developer relations, but not at shooters.
I'm so bad at gaming, like every game I've ever played.
But hey, it's about having fun.
This
guys,
is still fun though.
This game is actually amazing. Like I don't know who picked it up, but I think it's like it's really good.
Is it just like Counter-Strike?
I love it.
Like-
It's sick. GG's.
It is.
Achilles, are you a
complicated.
gamer? It's not here.
Okay.
Wow,
Yeah,
top
I
one,
can ask.
probably.
Are there features like you guys are gonna? Do you know what? Because I know like some people have been asking about like the sweeping feature recently, and you guys just implemented it like I don't know, like 3 days ago. No, is there anything the community has been asking recently that you're gonna change on Forma or I mean on Modularium?
We've got a bunch of stuff coming. Yeah, sweeping. We needed like sweeping offers, all of this kind of stuff, both because they were just, they're just like table stakes features at this point for an NFT marketplace. And I think after we released Mammoth, there was like a bunch of functionality that wasn't on Modularium that needed to be there in order for just people to have like a decent user experience. And obviously, like being able to buy NFTs in bulk and stuff was like the chimeras wouldn't have worked if you had to individually buy like every single stone one by one. That just would have been insane. So we had to build those features first. And the community were also asking for them, but it was on the roadmap. And the next, like one of the next major roadmap items is hopefully opening up Modularium to self-serve. So we'll still have the curated collections that will happen, I don't know, once a month or once every 6 weeks or whatever, depends. We have quite a few coming up actually in the near future. And then we'll have, an MVP, like a basic version of a self-serve minting so that any creator can create collections on Modularium as well. So that will be nice. The site will probably be segmented slightly to clearly delineate between the curated collections and the other collections. But it will be nice because it will allow more people to participate, and it will get some more community-led things going on. At the moment, it's quite sort of high touch to do anything on Forma. So that's main roadmap. I'm as well as got a call in half an hour as well about like gonna have like new brands for both Forma and Modularium. So we're gonna create some cool aesthetics and everything like that for both of those brands. So that's going to be nice, and that has a whole concept around it as well, which leans into some of the stuff we've been saying about both chimeras and just generally like getting lost in this like labyrinth of different collections where you can do different things, and there being a sort of sense of mystery around everything is something we're going to like continue to push and to amplify with some of the rebranding and redesign work that we're doing at the moment. So that's less of a feature, but I think will also be nice.
And like one question, how many of the like super rare one have been minted? Only one?
Good question. I'm going to pause there. So the
I
chimeras,
remember
there
is one that is not so hard to mint.
Maybe the
There's
fire one?
so
The fire one was like
Okay,
not so hard. Like that one was the easiest of the rare ones.
there's only one Technos. There's 4 livers. There's like some funny ones. Like there's only 3 Tartarus, Tartaruses, which was not that hard actually to make that one. You can look at the collection here. You can look at everything that's been. Someone's shouting. Yeah, but there's only one Technos. I'm surprised that there even is one. Like the way we wanted to make something that was unmakeable. That was the whole point, and someone made it.
But
So I don't
someone
know.
did it
Someone did it.
very fast, actually.
Yeah, what's gonna be like a ridiculous amount of things so that no one makes it? How about like 111,000 stones to burn 2 stones? Yeah, and we're like,
But-
yeah, no one's gonna do that.
Dude, and I'm curious. Does someone like how's it called? Like only one person has minted like that one, right? Like the one that was like supposed to
Yeah,
be
Technos.
unmintable. Yeah, Technos.
Yeah, just one guy. I think he's French or something. He didn't want to. No, he didn't want to come because no, he's from Hong Kong. I mean, he wanted to come, but it was a bit shy. But
The guy that minted.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
I mean, he's a true degen or art collector or both at the same time. Why not?
But, I think art collector is just another way to say crypto degen. I'm sure Achilles and Sam would agree with that. No.
100%.
Somehow,
It's a very
Somehow he has
similar
experience.
budget dynamic, right?
What all these things for, right? Like, I mean, everyone just wants to park their money somewhere, and then want to pump their bags. That's what everyone does. Unfortunately, in this cruel world of ours. It's just when I think in the traditional art, you hire PhDs with art history degrees to like write catalogs about your bags, and then you go to Christie's and you sort of talk about them with champagne. Here it's more quick and brute.
You play
But
Krunker.
I don't know. I don't know. I think there's something to be said about like the notion of fate, like owning something, like holding something that's yours, that you sort of find some deep meaning in that is beyond the financial. And the financial is just like you're just saying like I care about this so much. I care about like owning this thing so much that I'm willing to part with my capital. Like there's that angle there too. I don't know, Sam, if you're more cynical about this than I am, but I do feel like that's plays a role.
So I'm gonna
I
say
didn't hear what
something
you said at the
super
very end.
controversial here, but I feel like artists, they're like layer ones, or like artists are like chains, and coins are like their artwork. Because I feel like both things, like art and crypto, gets people like super tribal about what they care about. You know, like Bitcoin maxis, like ETH maxis, like things like that, like Link Marines. So I don't know. I feel like artists are just like the same, but for like very rich people who are like, okay, I'm gonna pump this artist and I'm gonna pump like my own bag. You know, so I don't know. I think it's like more of the same, but I think it's more of a, you know, like L1's like same as art, and like as artists, L1s are like in general, like, you know, like coins same as artists. Like the ultimate purpose is that they'll try to like give meaning to people. So I don't know. I just think it's like a really interesting dynamic because you can really see that both things get like the most tribal part of like everyone involved. So yes, that's something that I was thinking. I don't know if it's right, but it's definitely something that I mean, I don't know like what's on my mind. You know, what do you guys think?
I think that the thing you're right about is that generally speaking, people tend to make things because they care about making things. And then people show up who want to make money from these things. And then markets get created. And then things get funny. And I think that's true for artists and also for blockchains and also for other things like that. But I don't know. I think, you know, there's some inherent creative vitality in the art of making something, in the act of making something that I don't think is present necessarily in the act of trading something. I think there's like a difference there.
By the way,
Nice.
You're very
are you muted or
Who's the
Hello?
robot?
I can hear him, but I'm not sure if my mic is working. You sound
sound
like
like a
a
mother.
Let me try and fix something.
Oh, it's Sasha. Cool. Sounds like COVID-25 or something like that.
Has anyone been using the new ChatGPT image model today?
I haven't tried it yet,
Yes.
but it looks
Simplify
gnarly.
everything.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's
I think it's gonna get old in like 2 days probably, right? Like by Saturday, everyone's gonna have simplified everything.
I was talking to someone I know who is like AI artist, but like very in the weeds. I thought he was going to shit on it because that's what he normally does, but he was being genuinely impressed, which I was surprised by. But yeah, it definitely does Ghibli best. Well, I don't know. I've done some other stuff; it's been pretty good, but I think that Ghibli aesthetic is it's such a clear set of parameters. It's very easy for it to like sort of learn the style, replicate the style. But yeah, like all of these things, it's just going to be like normal in like 2 hours.
Anyone wants to ask something specific to or say something? Because we're nearing 1 hour of stream.
If you can hear me, I have something to say, but I'm not sure if
Yeah, it's a bit better now. You're still a bit muffled, but it's a bit better.
okay. Okay, but just wanted to add to what first of all, thanks for having me here. Sorry, I haven't been able to fix my school setup. Yeah, just to rip up what Achilles said. Can you still hear me, by the way, just before I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just to like what inspires me personally is kind of this middle ground, and I think like this between artist and trader, right, where you get involved very early with something that is ultimately significant within the space we're in, and by that I mean crypto, and you help it become what it can be, right, to reach its full potential. And I think it's just like so early right now. It's not enough to just sit there and buy something and just hope for the best. I think it really gets on every one of us to actively help shape and push forward, the meaning of the art we collect, we love, the symbolism, etc. So like I think it's a very special moment in time within crypto. It's kind of like giving birth to these new internet nations. And we have the ability to give cultural significance to things that we love. But it's not going to happen, just like that. Like it's going to require a lot of hard work over. I think I said like the internet works like moves much faster than real world history. But I still think it's going to take decades for even the best collections with the best components, reach sort of global cultural significance. And so that's kind of what inspires me. It's like, okay, yes, this thing can be extremely valuable. It's not just to sit there and say, okay, I'm just going to apply something and wait, because I don't think that works.
I think that's the role of the patron, right? Which has been very important for centuries. Someone who like, mentor who early on like nurtures something and allows it to reach the heights. I mean, you've become a mammoth. So you're certainly you're a mammoth. I mean, you're you're full of mammoth mode now. So
Yeah, I mean, like, I think patrons a good way of looking at it. It's also, I think it's still slightly different, but yeah, I think there's something to be said with, like, me personally, what attracts me is these implementations that have to do with the technology, right, that we're pushing forward, that is going to be everywhere. I think there's something incredibly interesting there. But yeah, that's like a personal talk.
Did you say symbols, Sasha?
Symbol, like, like
Yeah.
NFTs.
No. I just wasn't sure if
Yeah.
I heard you correctly. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
But that's what I think was cool about some of the really early crypto art, right? Like if you look at the work that was made, like mainly on Ethereum, even some early Bitcoin stuff, like well, goes back like really early, but let's even just say like super rare stuff from 2018, 2019, and like the group of the kind of underground that was working on chain at that time, and the kind of work they were creating was like all of that work adopts like the iconography of like crypto as like a movement, and all of the symbols of crypto and the memes of crypto. It's like a visual expression of I guess of crypto like ideology on some level, and aesthetics, and very much has that symbolic meaning. But it was born out of a context and a set of values and a vision that pre-existed it. And I think that stuff has been looked over because a lot of stuff has come since, and people are fickle and attention moves on. And even though I don't necessarily think all of it is fantastic art, and like judged as art, I do think it is cultural artifacts. If crypto continues to live and to grow and to become increasingly important, those things are going to have a lot of meaning because they're embedded in something that's more than just beyond themselves, essentially. Whereas a lot of NFTs, and this is the same with the mammoths, and it's the same with sloths, like in a different sort of part of the space. But then a lot of NFTs don't have that at all. As I said earlier, they're just born out of nothing, and then they kind of they enter this sometimes this kind of crazy euphoric self-propelling momentum up to some crazy value, and then they just go to zero because they actually like the only semblance of community, the only semblance of a kind of social context that can support them in the long term is entirely just about like their price and the number going up. So I think if you're buying NFTs for the long term, buying stuff that has meaning, within a wider context, whether that be the context of crypto and the values of crypto, the imagery of crypto, the memes of crypto, or whether that be artwork that is amazing as art and judged on those terms. Like those are obviously the things that are going to have a better chance of surviving.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think that the other direction is like what you guys are doing at Forma is you have this playground for culture that's obviously rooted in Celestia, and there's a way in which you can give things that are, I guess, more artistically, they might not be crypto in terms of the origins of the team and the symbolisms, but the fact that they are launching on Forma and Celestia becomes extremely successful, and Forma is so associated to Celestia, you kind of give it like a reverse meaning in a way. I think that especially as you're experimenting with these kind of composable NFTs through metadata, there's something there I think that is extremely interesting and exciting. The fact that this chain is so closely linked to this layer one, that I think we'll all here hope and think it will become as important as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. So yeah, really excited to see where this goes, and I'm really super bullish on Sam and Nicholas and the team. Everything I hear makes me more bullish.
the funny thing about Forma is, sorry, just one last thing, which is like, how chimeras are like this alchemical experiment where you input some objects and other objects come off it. I think of Forma as the same thing, in which like here comes in Forma, and what comes out is like this weird sort of objects. So it's like, bridging to Forma itself is like an alchemical process in a way, where you convert fungible, network state capital, like, not network state capital, but like capital that's of a particular network. It becomes the artifacts of the network as well. And it's a very direct relationship that I think, because of the architecture of the chains, right? Like, Forma is like this directly on the website, this fully sort of bespoke thing for creativity. It's almost like a funnel of transformation from one state of matter to another state of matter. I don't think that's overthinking. I think that's actually what it does, and I think that's kind of an interesting way of thinking about it, like as a machine of transmuting magical internet things of one kind to magical internet things of another kind, and back again, kind of thing.
Super. Yeah, I love that. Have you written anything on that as last question? Like having that like narrative or metaphor is extremely powerful to have out there. I'm not sure if you guys are thinking of like communicating that in long form or in a way that's
There's a couple of things that we want to write about. One of them is about the Archain stuff that's taken a while to take off the ground. And yeah, I think there's actually something long form about like some of these ideas too. I think as Forma modularium become more fully fledged like brands and sort of clear spaces where things happen and the relation to other places becomes more clear, I think maybe it would be good to start like writing about that a bit more. Because I think there's some interesting things happening.
Sasha, we really hear you super bad though.
Sorry,
for-
sorry, I'll stop talking.
Bro, Sasha is
No, no, it's cool, it's cool.
robotic man.
He's
But
the
I'm
AC
calling in from the Arctic.
the arcade. But thanks everyone for coming. We should do that more often, definitely. And I hope you had a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hosting, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a nice day. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Ollie.